All right, we are going to add an aged paper effect to this photograph right here. So I'm going to open it in Camera Raw and do just some basic. I'm going to open up the shadows a little bit. That's basically all I want to do is just lighten it up a little bit. And then hold down the shift to open object. Get into Photoshop. Window, tile. Shoot. Okay, so we're done there, and we're done there, and now we have this guy here. So let's move our layers over. I feel like everything I do to this computer just slows it down even more. There we go. All right. So a couple of things. We downloaded a aged paper file from the internet, and you simply type in aged paper texture or old paper texture. Get as big of an image as you can so that it's not pixelated. We're going to place it, which brings it in as a smart object. Transform it. When you place a file, you have the option to resize it. But also when you place a file, you do have to hit return to apply the transformation, meaning, yes, I do want to place that file. And it will appear as a different file right there. Okay. I'm going to turn that off for now, bring the layers up here. I'm going to make this a black and white photograph. And go to my adjustment layer, add the black and white. Now, with these sliders, it's as close as you're going to get to being in the darkroom. So you can kind of play around with where the values fall. You also have defaults. One of my favorites is infrared, which kind of puts a bit of a weird skew on it. Maybe you can overlay it, change it to overlay. Kind of like the way that looks. Okay. So I have a black and white layer with infrared affected and overlay applied. And then I'm going to make another black and white layer. So I'm going to really play around with these. And hit tint and add an overall tint. You know how when you find old photographs, they're very often have kind of a goldish, brownish, grayish hue to it. So let's pick that. I can also still go back in and play with my sliders. All right, so I've got that there. Take the opacity of that down a little bit. And what's happening is it's bringing in some of the color and some of the effect below. So it's actually kind of producing a beautiful effect. Then I got my texture on top, change it from normal to multiply, and let's bring down the opacity a little bit, add a layer mask, and very quickly with the brush, and I might use a little bit of a funkier brush. You are a king. You are a king. I'm going to mask off parts of that so it's not as obvious and consistent as it is now. And I'm going to vary the opacity of my brush. And you can see that also created kind of a vignette effect. Gonna wait just a minute. Wait for it. Because really the only thing that's super important in this photograph is this wiener dog. So the rest of it can blend out. There you go. You can take the opacity up and down as you like. Overlay will give you a different effect, a little brighter, and soft light will give you an even different effect. So you can pick, I think multiply is the most extreme. And I want to make sure that it looks like you found it in the most awesome garage. So I'm actually painting on this layer mask and creating a path for the light. Okay, so the vintage effect can be very cool and very, very easy to do. If you don't have enough of a vignette,
Well, if I get it,
you can always go to layer, new fill layer, black. Hit OK with the layer mask, get a brush in there, change it to soft light, and then you can play with it even more. Hiding and revealing. As soon as this is done thinking, we'll let it think. It's got a lot to think about. Still thinking. It's hard because normally when things think, I pull up pictures of Walter, but I have indeed prepared. Was prepared for this.
Does Walter like being alone, or does he like one friend?
He likes friends, but he is thoroughly convinced that he's the only. I think if I got another dog, he'd eat him. Yeah. Not because he's a mean, just because he isn't interested in anybody getting up in his business. Yeah.
Got it.
So I feel pretty good about that.
That's great.
You could add adjustment fill layers to the top to add color, but you might want to come over here just to see some real detail. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to make a new layer at the very top with the brush, just a normal brush at 100%. Oops. And grab the white. And I just want to make sure his face isn't gone. So what I'm doing is dodging by painting in white. And what that does with a really soft brush is allows me to bring back out the detail in his face. Okay. So that's how to do it. And for the project, I want you to be able to tell me why you did what you did, right? What did you learn? How are you using blending modes, layer masks, the brush, and all sorts of textures and